The fog was thick that night, rolling off the river like smoke from a dying fire. It clung to the old bridge, wrapping its iron beams in a shroud of gray, and muffling the world outside into a muted, oppressive quiet. The bridge had always been an eerie place, a forgotten relic from a time when it had been the only way to cross the treacherous waters below. Now, it was rarely used, its rusting structure only visible when the fog parted just enough to reveal its skeletal form. Marie had no intention of being on that bridge at this hour, but fate had other plans. She had been on her way home from a late shift at the diner when her car's engine sputtered, forcing her to pull over. Cursing under her breath, she grabbed her phone, only to find it dead. With no other choice, she got out and started walking, her footsteps echoing off the bridge as she made her way through the fog. The silence was unsettling. No distant hum of traffic, no chirping of crickets, just the sound of her own breathing, and the occasional creak of the bridge as it settled under its own weight. Marie pulled her jacket tighter around her, the cold dampness of the fog seeping into her bones. She could barely see a few feet ahead of her, the world around her swallowed by the mist. Then, out of the corner of her eye, she saw something. Movement. A shadow that flitted across the fog. She stopped, her heart pounding in her chest. She squinted into the gloom, but there was nothing, just the swirling fog. Maybe it was just her imagination, she thought, shaking her head. The fog was playing tricks on her. But as she continued walking, the uneasy feeling grew. The silence around her seemed to deepen, pressing in on her from all sides. She quickened her pace, her footsteps echoing louder, faster. The shadow appeared again, closer this time, darting between the beams of the bridge like a predator stalking its prey. Marie's breath caught in her throat. She broke into a run, the fog pulling at her, slowing her down. The bridge groaned under her feet, as if protesting her presence. Panic surged through her veins as she realized she was no longer alone. Something was on the bridge with her, something that moved with an unnatural grace, too fast to be human. She stumbled, falling to her knees, the impact jarring her senses. She scrambled to get up, but before she could, the fog parted, revealing a figure standing just a few feet away. It was tall, its form shrouded in darkness, the fog clinging to it like a second skin. Its eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, and Marie could feel its gaze boring into her. The silence became deafening. Her ears rang with it, a high-pitched whine that drowned out her own thoughts. The figure stepped closer, its movements smooth, predatory. Marie's mind screamed at her to run, to get up and flee, but her body refused to move, paralyzed by fear. The creature crouched down, its face inches from hers. It was not human, its features were twisted, wrong, a grotesque mockery of a face. Its mouth opened, revealing rows of sharp, jagged teeth. The fog around them seemed to pulse, as if alive, as if it were a part of the creature itself. Then it spoke, its voice a low, guttural growl that reverberated through the silence. Silence, it whispered, the word hanging in the air like a death sentence. Marie's vision blurred, her body trembling uncontrollably. The silence was no longer just an absence of sound, it was a presence, a force that pressed down on her, squeezing the air from her lungs. She tried to scream, but no sound came out. The creature leaned closer, its breath hot against her skin, and then everything went black. When Marie's body was found the next morning, the fog had lifted, revealing the bridge in all its decaying glory. There were no signs of struggle, no marks on her body, just a look of sheer terror frozen on her face, her eyes wide open, staring into the void. The coroner ruled it a heart attack, a tragic accident, nothing more. But those who knew the bridge, who had heard the whispers of what lurked in the fog, knew better. They knew that the silence on that bridge was not natural, that it was a harbinger of something far more sinister. And so, the bridge remained, shrouded in fog, a silent sentinel over the dark waters below, a place where the air was thick with the echoes of the past, and where the silence was not just the absence of sound, but the presence of something waiting, watching, and hungering for the next soul foolish enough to cross it.